The 150-meter vessel glides out at dawn, crews checking gear as calm seas promise a long shift. A fast squall rolls in, turning the deck slick while the crew tightens routines without saying much. Gloved hands thread oily bait onto a circle hook, each motion practiced despite the wind's shove.
They feed the main line over the rail, gangins snapping tight as waves slap the hull below. The hydraulic hauler spins up, rollers squealing briefly as the crew sets the pace for retrieval.
The line comes tight, and the first pull feels wrong, heavy like it's dragging the ocean itself. Far off, a massive catfish breaks the surface cleanly, tail slap echoing before it vanishes again. Back on deck, the crew braces and guides the line through rollers, eyes fixed on the sea beside them.
A second breach. Barbels and a huge head flash above foam. Then the fish drops like a boulder.
A dark shape rolls under the surface near the hull, and the line angle suddenly steepens downward.
The fish erupts again, wider than the wake, and the water around it boils with raw force.
They clip a safety line and lean in, keeping distance while the main line shudders like a live cable.
A broad, whiskered face surfaces in a swell, then sinks, leaving a slick whirlpool behind. The hauler groans as the crew inches the load upward, boots sliding on the rain-polished deck. A long, armored back breaks the surface and snaps away, proving the weight wasn't imagination.
A crewman readies a heavy-duty sling, signaling they're past normal handling and into pure logistics.
The fish surges upward, belly flashing pale, then crashes down, sending spray that fills the frame.
They guide the line to the crane point, metal clanking as the hook load transfers with careful timing.
A final surface roll shows the catfish's barbels clearly, then it dives, dragging a trail of bubbles.
The crew braces for the lift, checking shackles twice because a 5,000-kilo fish makes rules real.
The colossal catfish finally appears beside the hull, whiskers whipping as it thrashes in black water.
They slide the sling under its midsection, moving slow so the fish doesn't tear free in panic.
As it clears the rail, the tail kicks once, rocking the sling and making the crew step back fast.
They lower the fish onto the deck pads, keeping hands off the mouth where the power lives.
A crewman measures with a thick tape, but the numbers never matter as much as the stunned silence.
They flood the gills with seawater hoses, trying to keep the animal calm for a controlled transfer.
The fish bucks, and the sling straps creak, forcing the crew to widen their stance and slow down.
They reposition the crane hook to balance the load, turning chaos into something almost routine again. A close look shows thick barbels, scarred skin, and water-beaded eyes scanning the deck lights.
They slide the fish toward the refrigerated hold entrance, using rollers and pry bars with careful spacing. The hold hatch opens, cold air fogging out as the crew prepares a massive insulated bin. They guide the fish into the bin, straps tightening like seat belts for something that could crush steel.
Ice slurry pours in around the body, hissing softly as it settles into every gap and groove.
The crane lifts the sealed bin, and the deck crew watches for sway as wind tries to steal it.
The storm eases just enough to show gray light, and the crew finally exhales like it's permitted. A last open water jump far from any boat proves more giants are out there, untouched and free. On deck, they rinse slime and grit away, restoring traction before anything else can go wrong.
They log the catch on a waterproof clipboard, but the camera never lingers on numbers or names.
The vessel turns for port, seas still rough, while the crew checks straps like they're checking fate. The vessel turns for port, seas still rough, while the crew checks straps like they're checking fate.
Rain fades to mist, and the industrial skyline appears, making the whole ordeal suddenly feel official.
A wide deck view reveals bins and gear packed tight, everything wet and heavy under working lights.
From a second wide angle, the ship's scale matches the catch, with crew moving like ants in rain. At the industrial dock, forklifts stage insulated bins while the crew keeps straps tight and faces tired. The crane swings the massive bin onto the pier, landing it with a deep thud that shakes puddles.
A refrigerated trailer opens, cold vapor spilling out as pallets roll in like cargo meant for a vault. Straps cinch across the palletized bin, and the trailer door shuts.
At the plant receiving bay, inspectors circle the bin, checking seals without ever revealing brand markings.
The bin opens under bright factory lights, and everyone pauses as the sheer size becomes undeniable.
Workers hose the catfish clean on stainless steel, washing away dark slime into floor drains.
A heave hoist shifts the fish onto the first cutting station, where tools look built for engines.
They score the thick skin along the flank, opening a clean seam without splatter or showmanship. A mechanical skinner grips the hide and pulls steadily, peeling it back in one controlled motion. They remove the head section with a guided saw, keeping cuts precise and the work surface clean.
The belly cavity opens for evisceration, done fast and neat, with nothing lingered on for shock.
A rinse tunnel blasts the carcass with chilled water, leaving the flesh bright and uniformly clean. They split the body lengthwise on a long table, revealing thick fillet slabs like industrial panels.
A fillet team lifts the first massive slab free, sliding it onto a tray without tearing fibers.
The second fillet comes off cleaner, and the rib line is trimmed to a smooth, consistent edge.
Quality staff check for bone fragments by touch, moving slow, then nodding as the line keeps flowing. Fillets pass under bright inspection lights, surface sheen showing freshness, while labels stay unreadable. They portion the fillets into thick loins, each cut square and repeatable like a factory rhythm. Trim pieces are sorted into separate bins, never mixing species, never mixing colors or textures. A worker checks weight on a steel scale, but the display stays unreadable as the tray moves on. Portions enter a quick chill step, frost forming lightly along edges as cold air hits moisture. A metal detector lane scans each tray, with no screens readable and no alarms heard.
They apply a clear protective film over portions, sealing moisture in and air out with a smooth press.
A label printer runs, but every barcode and number is deliberately blurred to keep the frame clean.
Boxes stack into a tidy wall, and the line never stops, only changing hands station by station. A worker scrapes the bloodline carefully, minimizing discoloration while keeping the cut surface smooth.
Portions slide into a tray layout grid, aligned like tiles so packaging stays fast and repeatable. A supervisor checks glove changes and sanitizer use, proving hygiene is part of the process.
A quick rinse mist settles on the portions, restoring sheen before sealing without flooding the frame.
They vacuum seal one pack, air collapsing tight around the flesh with a soft mechanical hiss. A second vacuum pack seals cleanly, and the worker checks corners for leaks with a quick squeeze. Packages move through a cold tunnel, plastic fogging briefly before clearing as temperatures stabilize. Cartons are taped shut, the tape gun snapping loudly while every printed mark stays unreadable. They stack cartons on pallets with tight corners, building stable columns for long, cold transport. Forklifts carry wrapped pallets into a freezer corridor, tires humming on polished concrete. They pull a sample pack for checks, handling it gently like evidence instead of food. A clean table shows a portion cross-section, pale and firm, with no dramatic dripping or mess.
Back on the line, portions continue, proving one colossal fish can feed an entire system for days.
A bin of trim heads to secondary processing, still identified only by shape, never by readable words. Workers sanitize blades between cycles, steel flashing under lights as the line stays disciplined.
A wide view shows the fillet line in full flow, workers spaced evenly, trays moving like a river. Another wide angle shows boxing and sealing together, machines humming while people guide and confirm. The conveyor bends around a corner, and the camera holds steady, letting pace tell the story. A final trim station runs like a metronome, hands moving fast but careful, never rushing in safety. The last inspection lane clears cartons into outbound staging, where cold order replaces storm chaos. Full line wide shot, packaging, weighing, and wrapping in one frame, every display unreadable. Full line wide shot continues as forklifts thread between pallets, the plant moving like one machine. Full line wide shot, a cold room door opens, fog spilling as sealed product moves inside non-stop. Full line wide shot, outbound docks load a reefer truck, and every brand mark stays obscured. A reefer trailer interior shows pallets locked in place, cold vapor curling around corners like breath. The truck backs to a distribution bay, doors opening as workers guide pallets out with hand signals.
In a freezer warehouse, pallets stack high, lights buzzing softly above frost-coated aisles.
A picker selects cases for retail, scanning codes that remain unreadable while pallets shift forward. Retail-ready cartons load into a smaller refrigerated van, doors shutting with a thick rubber seal. At a grocery backroom, staff roll the cold shipment toward freezers, keeping the chain unbroken. Boxes open to reveal sealed catfish packs, clean and uniform, with every label deliberately unreadable.
They stock the freezer case in neat rows, turning a colossal catch into ordinary choices behind glass.
At checkout, the pack slides across the counter, and the story shifts from industry to dinner.
At home, the pack opens on a clean counter, revealing pale, firm catfish portions ready for seasoning.
Seasoning hits hot oil, and the catfish sizzles gently, turning opaque as the kitchen warms up.
A spatula flips the portions once, showing a clean sear and flaky texture beginning to separate.
Back on the vessel, the crew washes down the deck and stows longline gear, resetting for next time.
At the plant, hoses rinse stainless tools and tables, sanitizer foam sliding into drains as lights dim.
At sunset, the 150-meter vessel leaves port again, a dark silhouette against orange water. Deck empty.